Hello, everyone. Welcome back. Thank you for joining me again today. I wanted to take the opportunity today to talk really about connection. On in one of the podcasts, we talked about the establishment and having that good professional network and having that closeness, or at least having some professional resources that we can kind of rely on, and having that good, solid community to be able to, build your knowledge upon and have other people within the field sometimes just to talk to about what we deal with on a regular basis. And this topic has come up kind of a lot lately, whether it's been supervision or even just my discussions with some of my friends who are also in this field. And there's a lot of reasons as to why that is, or why we're speculating why that is. We are in that time of year when there's not a whole lot of holidays, so not a whole lot of just kind of planned time off from work. This, as the seasons change, everybody gets a little cranky too, especially this time of year around here. It doesn't know what it's doing. Yesterday it was like 86 degrees, and today I'm listening to this horrible wind and rainstorm going on outside my window, and it's freezing. So your mood is all over the place because the weather doesn't know what to do. And let's just throw it out there. Mercury's in retrograde, and we're running into an eclipse next week. Things are nuts. Um, and it's whatever it may be, everyone's just kind of feeling burned out. Everyone's just feeling at a loss for some reason. And even those of us that practice pretty good self-care, we're all like, oh my, we're just tired. And one of the common themes that have come along with this too is that lack of connection. And so talking with a lot of people, we've discussed the idea that, you know, even though we're now 4 years past COVID, you know, we still have ourselves kind of very siloed. You know, we are still kind of isolated in some ways. And you may kind of look at it and go, no, we're not working from home anymore. We're working in the offices. We're going to live trainings. We're going to live meetings. But the demand on our time is so much more now, with kind of all the changes that have happened within mental health and more people kind of needing us and coming into services. Our caseloads have been steadily growing again, even though we try to keep a cap on it. We're just seeing more and more people needing help. And so we're, again, taking that next step beyond and putting all of our time and effort into doing our jobs, but forgetting that connection that we need to have with our coworkers and having that connection with other professionals within the field. One of the things that someone mentioned the other day is that they still kind of feel like they're working from home, even when they're in the office, because they come in first thing in the morning. They may say hi to everybody as they walk in through the main lobby, and then they go to the office and they sit down and they turn on their computer and they look at their schedule, and then bam, that first client comes in the door. Or, they're furiously finishing up their notes for the next day, or for the previous day, excuse me. And they do that just one right after another, after another, after another, all day long. And so the only time they really have to interact with coworkers is that walk from their office back up to the lobby. For those that work out in the community, they're talking about feeling very isolated as well, because their time is spent moving all over the community, working with their members and their clients, but not really having time to actually sit down and engage in meaningful conversation with their coworkers. Whether that's just having, a little joke together, spending some time just kind of, decompressing, or if it's just being able to say, you know what, I got this client, can I talk to you about it for a minute? They're not really having the opportunities to do that. And they're saying, again, talking about the community workers, are saying as they're coming back in to the office, even though there may be other people in the office, and that they are able to see them, and they're working, a lot of our staff, especially our case managers, work in bullpens where they kind of have cubicles. They're also focused on their documentation when they're in the office, that they're still not spending a whole lot of time more than just kind of a quick hi or a quick check-in, and that's it. So still feeling very isolated, very siloed and separated from one another. So been talking about kind of myself and some of the other staff that we work with, especially the other supervisor that I work with, and asking for feedback from our staff. Well, what can we do to help you feel more connected? What can we do to give you those opportunities to do that? And some of it is, as much as they don't want to spend more time in supervision, is, well, can we do something where we do just get together, but it's constructive time? And so, not just like we're going to get together as a staff and have this luncheon, but we're going to do something constructive together that's focused on a little bit on professional development. But it's not you as supervisors coming in and providing supervision, but just kind of facilitating a meeting for us where we all get to sit and we get to talk and we get to build again that sense of community and connectedness as a team. I'm like, great. I love to hear this. This is wonderful. Let's do more of this. We need more of this. And this isn't something that I'm just hearing within my own agency. As I already said, this is something that I'm hearing among my friends that also work in the field, to the point where we're even kind of like, it's been a long time since we've all gotten together. As professionals, there used to be pre-COVID a group that got together in our community, and it kind of disappeared over the years, even before COVID, but there was still kind of like a little bit of it hanging on. And so it's something we're trying to bring back and trying to get together again and having at least a once a month meeting, just open door. If you work in this field and, come in and talk and let's rebuild our connections. We've been talking about, even though, again, trainings are live and meetings are live, there still hasn't been a whole lot of opportunity within the field for like health fairs or, the other things that we frequently did within even just our community. We got to network with other people. And there have been some here and there. They're not very widely promoted for some odd reason. And then for us, we live in a more rural area. It doesn't feel very rural anymore for me who grew up here and as big as we've grown. But if we want to go to conferences or we want to go to events, we have to travel a distance. And so it's not just kind of the expense of, hey, there's this great networking opportunity of going to this conference, so I'm going to pay to go to this conference, but now I also have to pay for the travel to get there because I don't live in that community. So barriers and looking at how we can move past them. But I wanted to, like I said, just kind of talk a little bit about individual things that we can do to build that connection when we're noticing that we're struggling with it. And also looking at just how we go about reconnecting ourselves to our work. So tied into this as well is a little bit of that professional development. And so we may not really be focusing today on taking those classes or going to conferences or attending trainings. What are we doing as we're kind of connecting ourselves or reconnecting ourselves to our vision and our work that is growing ourselves professionally? As we are connecting to other people in our field and building that professional network, what are we doing to grow ourselves professionally? So let's take a look at what we can do. Let's start off just kind of individually ourselves. We're building our own connection. And, part of that may be starting off with creating our vision or kind of rebuilding our vision of what we look like professionally, and what we want our professional lives to be, not only today, but long term. So, maybe we do need to spend some time and create a little vision board and have that opportunity to really connect and acknowledge your personal and your professional goals. Maybe it's even using imagery to visualize your future self, which we know sends a powerful message to our brain, generating an impulse to move in the direction of these desired achievements. So maybe we need to take some time and imagine our lives 5 years down the road. What would you like to have achieved? What does your professional and um, personal life look like and feel like in that moment? Like I said earlier, maybe do a vision board. So gather magazines, pictures, words, symbols, images, stickers, whatever, and put them together and arrange them so that you have it in a way that speaks to you, and have fun with it and combining ideas and creating patterns and themes so that you can display that vision board somewhere where you will see it often. And this will remind you and inspire you to continue to work towards achieving your career vision. So sometimes connecting has to start with, what do we envision for ourselves? So part of that then talks about, being also a lifelong learner. We know the power of professional development. And we talked about again early in one of the things that professional development is crucial for vicarious trauma, because we need to know more about trauma in order to help ourselves deal with the trauma that we're getting secondhand, and thus kind of having it become more of the vicarious trauma. So what opportunities are you embracing to learn and to grow? Are you thinking about some of that untapped potential that you might have? And what are you looking for to get the opportunity to explore more of what you want to do, again, to continue to grow and expand within your knowledge within the field? Learning new things often feeds the mind and enables you to connect more deeply with the world around you. It better prepares you to deal with change, and it inspires you to generate new ideas and encourage you to look beyond yourself. So, do you keep an ongoing to learn list? Not a to do list, but a to learn list. Embrace different projects and hobbies. These can also be related to your career, such as learning how to be better at meditating, to learn how to incorporate more somatic principles in it, to learn new theories that maybe you haven't explored so much for in the past, and expand kind of your go-to, what you want to do as far as working directly with the interventions with your clients. Um, think of creative ways to share what you're learning also with others. And you may inspire someone else to join you in a learning journey, and you may learn something new from them in return. And as you're doing this, set or revisit short and long term career goals. It's often easy to get caught up on working on what's right now in front of you. But for growth, it's important to set short and long term career goals to keep you learning and acquiring new skills and experience. Short term goals are the goals that we typically think about can be accomplished within 6 months to 2 years, and long term goals might be 2 to 5 years. So to begin, think about again what you want in your work. What is that lifelong learning objective of? What are you seeing on your vision board or imagining for yourself as you're thinking about your where you want to be in 5 years, and set goals to accomplishing that. Once you're clear on what that vision is, identify those key goals and milestones to help you accomplish it. Write them down, be specific, be measurable, right? SMART goals is what we do in our field, and set realistic dates to them about when you hope to accomplish these goals. Check in with yourself frequently to ensure that you are writing the goals from your wants and desires, not just what sounds good on paper, or not just what you think you should be doing, but what you truly want to do and what you envision best for yourself. And also, share this with others and get feedback from them as well. And, you know, check in with yourself as you can continue to do this. And you might want to also spend some time as you're doing this to really expand your self awareness, thinking about what are your current strengths? What areas of opportunity are there for you for continued growth? Um, when do you feel like your best self professionally and personally? And when do you feel the most stress, both professionally and personally? And how might these kind of career goals that you have for self impact or help um, that stress level? And also thinking then too, as you're thinking about what do I want to do and how do I want to continue to grow professionally, how do I want to reconnect myself and revisit why I'm in this field? How do you relieve stress? Right? That's the whole point of this. How do we take care of ourselves? We need to also constantly be revisiting how are we relieving the stress that we deal with on a regular basis, especially if we want to continue to grow. Another tool that could be helpful in reconnecting yourself to the field, but also just kind of reconnecting to yourself personal, is a values reflection. Reflect on what matters most to you and identify maybe 6 to 8 core values. If that seems too much, drop it down to 4. It's what's important to you. They may be values that were passed down to you, values that you've admired in others. They could be values that you've established along the way that you've just kind of learned. If you find yourself getting stuck, think about high and low moments in your life for what insight into value, or for the insight into what you value. Post your values in places that you can see them daily and reflect on how you're spending your time and asking yourself if it's in line with your values, and continue to update them as you grow and as you continue to evolve. Also think about what sets you apart. What makes you unique and what's your competitive advantage? It's, just kind of human nature to compare ourselves to others, but it's not a very good use of our time. So when we're very clear and confident about who we are and how we stand out, we attract career opportunities. So get clear on what you appreciate about yourself. What do you have to offer that is different from others in your career field? And make a list of those unique experiences and qualities and how you add value. Spend the next few minutes just kind of drafting maybe a career brand statement or revisiting an earlier statement that highlights your distinctive qualities and your career experience. And lastly, I would say one of the most important things that we can do to continue to reconnect ourselves to our field, continue to think about how we want to grow in this field and continue to find meaning for ourselves being here, is having that ongoing study of the landscape of the mental health field as a whole. So create a habit of staying up to date with the changing landscape of our industry of mental health, and what is happening within our profession. Invest time and energy to educate yourself in your area of expertise. And this is going to keep you informed of challenges, opportunities, and trends. We might also need to carve out some time to do some research and read up on the latest trends and developments that are going on. Listen to podcasts. It doesn't have to be this one, but maybe another one that talks about industry trends and talks about new and exciting things that are being developed within the field of mental health and your particular role within this field as well. Also, stay on top of legislation that's going on within your area and how that is going to change the ongoing landscape of the mental health profession as a whole. Stay on top of what's happening with your board. What are policies that are happening there? Are there changes as far as like your licensure is concerned? How about your um, professional organizations? Are you involved in that? What are they doing to influence legislation as far as improving our field and making positive changes towards our own career development as we're looking at the whole landscape of the mental health field? And again, as a bonus, share what you learn and what you find out with your colleagues and the teams that you work with. you know, you'll be seen as a resource and as a guide for others. And you may also find out that you have something in common with other people that you're working with. And they may be able to give a little bit of a give and take in a conversation within that. And again, find a way to connect with someone on a professional level. Other things that are helpful with connection kind of focuses a little bit more on that idea of personal values, or maybe we might even call them just good social skills. And the first one of that is just having good active listening skills. I don't think I need to tell any of you what active listening skills are. That's something that we should all know. But oftentimes, especially when we're feeling a little bit of that disconnect, or we're just tired, we're feeling a little burned out, maybe we're not having a good day, we're just overwhelmed, or maybe something that's going on, we kind of stop being active listeners, within those conversations that maybe we're having. Instead of listening and paying attention, we're thinking about what to say next instead of really taking it all in, what that person in front of us is actually saying and what they're sharing with us. So practicing active listening helps us to deepen our connection to others. The more we train ourselves to genuinely listen, the more we can learn about others and increase our capacity to focus on what's right in front of us. So what a better way to connect if we're focused and we're on the here and now. We're being mindful with our listening. We also need to really be able to focus on how do we express gratitude. Expressing gratitude helps to refocus our mind on what we have instead of what we lack. It then becomes easier to experience positive emotions, recall good experiences, and strengthen relationships. So for right now, call to mind someone who's influenced your career development, either at your current job or in another capacity. Maybe it's even someone back when you were in school. And just kind of think about, what are you thankful for about what this person shared with you? And if this person was sitting in front of you right now, what would you say as a thank you to them, expressing your appreciation for their impact and what they did for your career development and for your professional development. And as you're thinking about what you would say to them, be specific, give examples of what you've learned and what you experienced from them. And maybe as you're doing this right now, think to yourself, how often do we take the time to express gratitude to those that we work with? Or maybe we do, but sometimes that gratitude is also a knee-jerk reaction. I appreciate you. And then we walk away. What are we doing to make it meaningful? Okay. And also, once in a while, maybe we need to take some time to express gratitude towards ourselves. And lastly, I would say also practicing vulnerability. Vulnerability is a practice in self-honesty that helps us build resilience. And definitely resilience is a key in this field. So sharing a weakness or something you're struggling with and asking for assistance can help you move forward and grow. I think sometimes, even though we know this is important and we encourage our clients to talk to us and ask us for help, we get a little scared professionally to ask for help, even from our supervisors, which is that is what their role. We're scared to look weak or look like we don't know what we're doing, to look like we're maybe not the greatest at what we do if we have to ask for help, but we all need help sometimes. And there's sometimes that things just slip your mind and you may need to be like, hey, remind me of how I do this. It's okay to be able to ask for help. It's okay to be vulnerable professionally as well. And that's going to help you to be able to really kind of check in with yourself and get a clear idea and understanding of where you feel stuck and uninspired, and seek out someone that you feel comfortable with, that you have a trusted relationship, and really carve out that time to share with them that you're struggling with and ask them for their suggestions, their advice, ask them for that help. Practice that vulnerability with them. Practicing vulnerability really gets easier with time, and it is ultimately rewarding. It empowers and liberates us. It creates space and a ripple effect that encourages others to really do the same. Now, switching the focus to not just connecting or reconnecting with ourselves individually and doing the things that we need to make ourselves more open to connecting with others, or just, again, reconnecting with our desire to be in this field and reconnecting with our professionalism within this field. What are we doing to expand our network? Building a network of professional contacts is kind of a no-brainer. It opens the door to future career experiences and opportunities. It's great to have those other people, especially as you kind of move up and around. Like maybe you're the top dog in your place, and you're like, well, who do I go to when I'm struggling with something? So having that network to be able to look at. I've talked about in another episode that even those of us in supervisors, we sometimes need our own supervision too. We need to have those professionals that we can turn to and ask for help with when we're stuck, practicing that vulnerability. Do some research and figure out, what is happening for networking and opportunities for you to kind of join and build that professional connection within your own communities. Like I said, within our communities, we're trying to redevelop the idea of having that group that gets together once a month. Are there opportunities within your agency too that maybe you haven't necessarily taken advantage of? Are there things maybe, again, through your professional organizations within that? Are there even things maybe through the universities that you attended where, maybe people still get together and talk about, that have the same degree and they get together on a regular basis and just have an opportunity to reconnect within that. But research what's out there with you and sign up for it and spend some time actually engaging in that. When it comes time to actually go to the events or engage in those opportunities, go in there with an open mind with a goal of making 3 to 5 new connections, or maybe even rebuilding connections that you have lost due to us just not having been connected for the last few years, especially, again, COVID. And remember that quality connections are made through true conversations. So balance, between speaking authentically, asking others genuine questioning, and listening. Be proactive and exchange contact information. Have your business card with you, and really exchange that information with people that you're interested in staying in touch with. And these connections may help you down the road or might be able to help you connect with other people in a way that could positively impact yours or their careers. What are you doing to strengthen work relationships at your own individual workplace? We are wired as human beings for connection, but we often, again, move so quickly at work that we only interact with those that we work closest with or whom that we have a common interest. In our particular office, we're spread out in multiple offices, and we actually have to literally go outside and walk, next door to get to another site and things like that. So we also kind of, again, when I talked about being siloed, we're disconnected just because it's like, do I really have to walk all the way down there? So we get kind of stuck with just that little group that may work within our little building there and those little few offices that are around us rather than exploring everybody who works in the entire building. So this week, invite someone you work with who you don't really know very well to maybe join you for coffee. Maybe join for lunch or have a video chat or just walk around the block. This could be someone who recently joined your team or someone from another department with you don't really feel like you have a regular connection with, but maybe you should have a regular connection with. Approach this meeting with curiosity, asking about their career experience, the work that they are doing, the accomplishments they are most proud of, and the problems they are working to solve. One of the things that I love to see among the staff is especially those that either have recently finished or are close to finishing their master's degrees. They're all talking amongst one another and talking about, well, what are we going to do? Are we going to get our license? Can we all get together with these study groups so that we can take the test? And it's great to be able to see that. And even sometimes myself as a supervisor, I was like, hey, well, so and so is graduating from a similar program as you, and they're talking about doing their license. Maybe you should check in with them, and building that connection again too on some common ground. That's again going to build yourself professionally. Make sure also that you're using your voice as you are strengthening your work relationships. The knowledge, experience, and the expertise that you have can benefit another person, your team, or even your organization as a whole. Whether it's in team meetings or individual meetings with your colleagues or your supervisor, look for and create opportunities to speak up. Ask questions that spark dialogue among the team or share your perspective and ideas. Start small by maybe even, talking to a supervisor and adding a topic to the agenda for the next team meeting, something that you find interesting. I know for one, I always reach out like, what do you guys want to talk about? What's something that we can bring to the next meeting that's important to do? It's really easy for me to come in here with my agenda, but what's your agenda? What it is important for you to know, not just what I assume you need to know. And I love it when people speak up because one, it makes my job a lot easier, but two, I know that they're actually truly invested in what they're doing. Because there's nothing worse than sitting in supervision with everybody just kind of staring at you, especially a group meeting, and they're not really engaging because maybe they need to hear the information that you're talking about, but they have something else that's more important to them that they want to talk about. So speak up, add those topics to your agendas. Talk to your supervisors about what are important and what you want to see as far as maybe training topics or even just, again, agenda items in different meetings. Um, some examples of this may include brainstorming ideas to solve a certain problem that you're seeing that's happening, sharing an update on a project you've been working on, and getting input from other people. So take a step to share more will help you be seen as a thoughtful partner or an expert in your work. Along the same lines, what are you doing to mentor other people who may be new within the agency, or maybe even just people who need a little help? What are you doing to be a resource among your colleagues? These are both really important things to help you, again, share your own expertise and your own ideas and opinions, but also to build that connection and build that team that you may need. Oftentimes we may see someone who's struggling. We're just like, well, that's not my job. That's my supervisor's role. And we just kind of walk past them. No, we do better when we are mentoring one another and we are being a good resource to one another. So again, if you're seeing someone who needs help, offer it. reach out and provide that support. You know, acting as a mentor, being a good resource for other can also be really rewarding to support someone else's growth and development. And it's a great way for you to also sharpen your communication and leadership skills, especially if you're looking down the road and you're thinking about what do I want to do as I can continue to grow. Take the opportunity to mentor others and see, do I like this? Could I possibly be a supervisor down the road? You know, if maybe need the opportunities for mentorship, also again, open up and speak up for that. If you need additional resources or you see someone who would be a good mentor for you or a good resource for you, reach out and ask them. Again, practice that vulnerability and ask for help when you need it. Ask for ask for their advice, ask for their input. It's okay to be able to do that. It's just a win. And lastly, as we wrap up today, not just talking about kind of reconnecting career wise and professionally, but what are we doing, kind of the interpersonal connections and building that within our coworkers? What are you doing just to be a good coworker? One of the ideas is like performing random acts of kindness. We all love when that kind of happens. It's very uplifting to our spirits. It creates a positive ripple effect within the energy within our environments. So how can you be more present within the moment or present within your work experience and with your colleagues by actively paying attention and looking for ways that you can help others? Some ideas that might be kind of things that you think about as you're performing random acts of kindness is just holding the door open when someone walks by. you know we don't really think about that, but that can make or break somebody's day sometimes. Smile at people as you pass them in the office. Treat a coworker to lunch. Pay a coworker for some sort of compliment. Offer to assist someone on a project. Again, offer help when you need it. And or maybe every now and then brand some donuts, or a little tasty treat for that. We all love it when one of our team members, she brings in the best baked goods. When she brings them in, you better get there pretty quick or they're going to be gone. But all those little things that we kind of do that just helps to build kind of the camaraderie among our team. And we all love to see it. We love it when it happens to us, but are you taking the opportunities to do that yourself? Also, you may think about like volunteering your time. A lot of workplaces have different events and things that they may be getting involved in outside of work hours. There may be community events that they have. Are you stepping up and saying, hey, yeah, I'll join that and I'll help out with it? Um, whether it maybe they're doing some sort of charity work after hours as an organization, or there's some sort of like community event. Like there's one in our community. There's a softball game that happens every year that people get involved in, and the different people from agencies will play in a tournament against one another. And it's we also volunteer to be able to do that, even if maybe you're not very athletically inclined. Do you just go and cheer on your team? Do you go and help support in other ways? If your agency is involved in health fairs, are you jumping up and saying, hey, you know what, I'll man the booth for an hour or two while it's going on all day long? What are you doing to volunteer your time and looking at, again, that you are an active part of your work community? If your company doesn't have a volunteer program, ask yourself what organizations or causes you're passionate about and take the initiative to volunteer on your own, or help coordinate a company or department volunteer event. When we're talking about volunteering on our own, again, part of building connections is having that opportunity to engage in things that are meaningful and important to us. It's also a great way to, again, work on our self-care when we have meaningful activities outside of the work hours. So maybe, again, it's not something that you do as an employee, but what are you doing to give back? What are you doing to help others or just be a productive member of your community? Maybe just outside of your professional time. So I encourage you this week to really think about some of the ways you would like to be able to be more connected at work. Things that you personally can do to feel connected to just your day, Be mindful in your day, be more connected to the job and why you are there and why it's important to you. Again, having that value of the work that you're doing, but also building that professional connection within your colleagues or outside of your colleagues, within the professional community as a whole. So 1 to 2 things that you might like start to do that help you feel more connected. When you have that connection, you have other outlets and you have other resources to help you when you are feeling burned out. You have other people who maybe even might just be able to commiserate with you at times when you may need it outside of work hours. It's, again, we are wired to be connected. So make sure that you find the opportunities to do that. And I would say if you're struggling to be able to do that during the workday, again, speak up, make it an agenda item, talk with your bosses and be like, hey, we're feeling a little disconnected here. What can we do to build staff cohesion, to build the camaraderie, and to build the teamwork amongst our staff? Because we all feel better when we are connected to one another. So thank you all once again for joining me today. I look forward to seeing you next time. Again, be looking out for the end of the week when we will have our roundtable discussion with other professionals in the field about self-care and vicarious trauma and kind of their own inputs on this topic.